Britain's mass facial recognition rollout alarms rights group. The stuff that we've got to talk about in today's video is absolutely absurd. And for the past couple of weeks, I've been researching this topic and talking to journalists, and it keeps getting deeper and deeper. And what I'm about to share with you in this video should raise some serious alarm bells. So for the past few years, the government have been trialing a new technology, which is basically what China use. It's basically a facial ID system that allows the government and the police to profile people and match them against existing databases. Now, when researching this video, a few websites that actually tried to find out information about this weren't accessible from the UK. I actually had to use a VPN, and we'll talk about that later. But over the past couple of weeks, I've actually had a couple of police officers reach out to me and talk about this, especially from the London police, talking about how this is going to be rolled out throughout London, and also how it's going to be rolled out in various different other cities around the UK. Outside supermarkets or in festival crowds, millions are now having their features scanned by real-time facial recognition systems in Britain, the only European country to deploy the technology on a large scale. And we can see these police vans, and also, as you may learn later in the video, it's not just in London, it's now in other cities too. At London's Notting Hill Carnival, where 2 million people are expected to celebrate Afro-Caribbean culture over the 24th to 25th, facial recognition cameras are being deployed near entrances and exits. The police have said that their objective was to identify and intercept wanted individuals by scanning faces in large crowds and comparing them with thousands of suspects already in the police database. Then Police Chief Mark Rowley states that this has actually led to over 1,000 arrests since the start of 2024. Now, it's worth noting that over 650 arrests have been made from 2 cameras that were deployed over 100 times this year. 2 cameras, 650 arrests. But there's one more thing that absolutely shocks me the most. Like, it's the worst part of all of this. But before I tell you that, a quick thank you to Private Internet Access. If you're looking for a VPN that allows you to stay private online, a VPN that doesn't keep logs, and it's also a VPN that works on multiple different devices, so you have one plan, it works on all your devices, make sure you check out Private Internet Access at the link down below. You get 86% off and 4 months free, and with pretty much all of my videos getting demonetized, it's a fantastic way to support the channel, and it allows me to carry on doing my deep dives into all this information. Right, now back to the video. Now, in July of this year, they obviously introduced the Online Safety Act, and something else happened in July that I wasn't even aware of, but you're about to be. This all falls after the British police made a pledge in July of 2025 to roll static and mobile cameras out all over British towns and cities with a promised scope of 10,000 active cameras by 2030. So just to be clear, 650 arrests from 2 cameras, imagine what's going to happen with 10,000. But you may be thinking, good, they're catching criminals. Londoner Sean Thompson, a 39-year-old black man, said he was arrested after being wrongly identified as a criminal by one of these cameras and has filed an appeal against the police. And you can look online, there are hundreds of people writing on Reddit and different forums how they were identified by one of these cameras and wrongly identified as being a completely different person, and in some cases being arrested, had to go into a jail cell, spend a couple of hours or even overnight and wait for someone to come to the police station with a form of ID to prove they're not the person who the face ID says they are. This is absolutely insane. Now, we've had many different rights organisations make comments about this as well, saying how this is actually unlawful and it violates some of the freedoms that we do have in the Western world, not just in the United States, but in the UK as well. This violates some of our freedoms of which we have been promised. Then here's the bit that absolutely sent me over the edge. So the most abhorrent thing about all of this is the following statement. The technology enables the police to match users against a database, but also detail notes about persons in which they believe to be suspicious based on behaviour. The police have not stated how long these notes remain linked to a person's facial identification. So essentially, a police officer can be sat in the back of one of these vans, or they can be sat in an office somewhere, and a face scan could come up for you. They could think you're acting suspicious and they can add a note against you. So when the next camera picks you up, you're noted as a suspicious person. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I actually had a police officer reach out to me about this, and I asked them about this technology, and they said they're not on the team that's using this at the moment, but they have been briefed on how it's going to be introduced. I asked them what happened to the notes and the profiles that stand next to the user. So if someone adds a note about you, how long is it on there for? And he stated that there hasn't been any intimation that that data is ever deleted. So the statement I actually got from the police officer is as follows. We've not been briefed on how long the scans or associated profiles are retained for. We've only really been taught taught how to use it. In regards to your questions about where the data is stored, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's most likely with the manufacturer of the Face ID system. I'm not sure if I can divulge that, but the cameras are equipped with software that makes the whole process real time. Whilst the tech is very cool to play with, it becomes a tad worrying when you consider the possible ways it could be exploited, not just by the gov, but half the cameras aren't even password protected. So essentially, you could have a whole police profile classifying you as a suspicious person because you are walking down the street eating a Mars bar. It all comes down to the subjectivity and opinion of the person sat in the van. Now, we don't know what bias the person has in the van. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're looking for. And confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. If they're looking for a person that matches your description, they're very likely to tie those attributes to you and treat whatever you're doing as being suspicious. This is genuinely insane. It's also worth exploring the wording that both the BBC and the police have used to describe this. So they've said that the whole idea behind this is to catch like predators and people that have committed like violent crimes and stuff. Basically, they've done the same thing that they did with the Online Safety Act. If you disagree with it, the optics of that to the general public is that you support people doing these crimes. There is no caveats, there's no nuance, there's no applied opinion that comes to this. If you disagree with them doing this, and all of a sudden you're a serial super nonce. And that's why optics is 9/10 of the law when it comes to policing in the UK. And by the way, we also have a statement from the Interior Minister, Yvette Cooper, and she recently promised that a legal framework governing the use of this software would be drafted, focusing on the most serious crimes, essentially intimating that they're going to focus on a way to utilise the software without penalising the wrong people. However, they've decided to run before they walk, and the following statement is, but her ministry in August authorised police forces to use the technology in 7 new regions. So before the technology is understood, regulated, or actually even approved and voted for by the people of the general public, it's already been put into effect. And this basically means that people will get used to it, people will forget about it, and people will move on. And this will just become the new normal. Now, I do get a lot of flack in the comments every time I make comparisons to China, because obviously what China has is at the moment significantly worse than the UK, and it's very dystopian. But at what point am I not wrong anymore? At what point does this become the new norm for the British public? At what point do we draw the line? Because for me, the line was drawn years ago, and everything else is just an added thing on top. The Online Safety Act, 10,000 cameras being introduced into the British public. This is not right. This is against our human rights. The problem is, all the statements that the police have issued about this is, we want to catch people that have done horrific crimes. And I agree with that. I think if you've done a horrific crime, of course you should be caught, arrested and trialed. But this is profiling everyone and accusing everyone of crimes before they've had their day in court, without doing anything wrong. It used to be a time where if you were in the wrong place at the wrong time when a serious crime was committed, you were considered a suspect. Now it's a case of just your appearance or your actions can make you a suspect even if you aren't. This is absolutely absurd, and I hope that you find it absurd too. Make sure you check out private internet access at the link down below. It greatly supports the channel and it's a fantastic VPN. And if you do enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.